See, I like the natural light that daytime brings.
It looks nuts, see?
You look ready for TV, Marcus Leshock.
I still have my makeup on.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I do.
I mean, you're handsome with or without it.
It's my day and evening makeup.
So this is Car Con Carne. It's a food podcast recorded in a car. I'm James Van Osel. My guest today, Marcus Leshock from the WGN-TV morning show. In the back seat is Gaby from Borinquen over on Western Avenue, home of the jibarito. Ground zero for the jibarito sandwich, the Puerto Rican delight originated in Chicago. I should say that Car Con Carne is presented by the Autobarn Mazda of Evanston, 1015 Chicago Avenue, right there by Chicago and Maine. Their cars, man, the technology, the ultimate in mobile connectivity. They describe their cars as stylish sanctuary. Totally agree. Go to the Autobarn Mazda of Evanston. They're really good people. I got my last two cars there. Take a test drive. Autobarn Mazda of Evanston. Gaby from Borinquen. Marcus Leshock, are you ready to do Car Con Carne?
I am.
Let's do it.
It's Car Con Carne. Let's eat in the car. It's Car Con Carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Osel.
This is funny. As we're doing the Facebook Live, Giorgio just checked in and said, I can smell the garlic from here.
I was going to say, can you smell it? Can you smell it?
Right before we started recording, I said, this is going to be a smell that just clings to the car for a little while.
It really is, but that's the best part.
It's
And
the
your
best
clothes. It'll stay on the clothes.
Yeah, oh no.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank goodness Marcus is done with his TV responsibilities for the day.
Yeah.
Because, you'd be unbearable if you went back to the studio.
Sorry, I was just sharing your Facebook Live onto my
you.
Facebook.
You're so nice.
I'm trying to keep it going here.
Did you bring your Emmys?
No, they're at home. They're currently, where are they? They're sitting on like a dresser or something. One's probably propping open a door somewhere.
Now, this is the award-winning Marcus Leshock, former WGN Employee of the Month.
Yes.
Now,
wow, you're going way back. That was like nine and a half years ago or something.
Was that the moment when Larry Potash was put in his place when you won that award?
It was for a long time. It was a running joke with Paul Conrad. Like he wanted to be Employee of the Month so bad, and he never was. And it was kind of a running bit. And I started working there. I think my second month at WGN, I was named Employee of the Month because I had a blog at the time, and it did like 1 million page views. It was doing like a ridiculous amount of page views back then, and so they gave me Employee of the Month, and it was this huge to do because he was like, "Hey, he's been here for 10 minutes, and he's Employee of the Month."
Well, from a blog that had 10 million page views, here we are at Car Con Carne.
That's right.
Your career backslide begins right now.
That's right.
Here it is.
It kind of peaked early.
Right. You're done.
I peaked early, and it's okay.
So Gaby is here from Borinquen in the back seat. Borinquen, home of the jibarito. It is a sandwich that I mentioned started here in Chicago. And I thought you could give history on this delicious sandwich, this Puerto Rican sandwich.
Yes, so it was created by my uncle, Peter Figuroa. I want to say in the 1990 actually. And he had the restaurant on California, Borinquen restaurant. That was the original. And he opened that in 1987. I'm going to go ahead with that date. And then again, 90s, he created that sandwich, and it just blossomed from there. It became so popular that they started using it in all Puerto Rican restaurants. It just went crazy.
I mean, it is crazy that this Puerto Rican staple originated in the city of Chicago, although the Puerto Rican community is huge.
Yeah.
I had no
Chicago.
idea that you created that.
Yeah.
I thought that it was, you served them, but I thought it went like back to Puerto Rico and everywhere else.
Oh, this is ground zero. This is it.
Yeah, ground zero. Yeah.
It is the best jibarito.
It
of
is.
all the ones I've had, there's just nobody makes it quite like you guys make it. It's not the same.
Everybody definitely puts their own spin on it. They cook the steak differently, or they'll use different cheese or anything, but we are the originals.
All right, so explain what is on a jibarito.
So it's a plantain, fried, flattened.
Now, plantain, for those who don't maybe know, those are they look like bananas.
They look like bananas.
But they're not sweet like a banana.
Definitely not sweet. Very starchy. They're. I really can't describe the taste. They're just not sweet. We do have a sweet banana, it's the maduro, which we actually have a jibarita, It's a sweet plantain jibarito, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And that one's pretty popular also, although the name isn't really out there. But yeah, the plantain is its own kind of banana.
So it's plantain instead of bread.
Mm-hmm.
And then inside you have steak.
Steak, it's your choice. The steak is the original. It's the most popular. We also have the roasted pork. We have chicken fried off the bone. We have the chicken breast. It's also really popular. We have a vegetarian, and we also have shrimp, which is amazing.
Now for today, Marcus and I are going big. Marcus is going classic, going steak. I'm going with the pork.
Yes.
And your recommendation.
Yes.
You also brought out some Puerto Rican sodas.
Yes.
Neither of which have been tried by Marcus or me
No.
before.
Yeah.
So-
Which we did not create.
right, so what do
Put
we
that
have
out there.
here?
We have a cola champan. That's yes, a
Is
Puerto
this
Rican.
Marcus's?
Oh, I'm having this one, I think you said.
Yep.
And then we have Malta, which is a malt drink.
Look at that.
Here we go.
So anything particularly different about this? Or how would you describe the flavor?
I would. Oh, I don't know. I'd go kind of with like a Dr. Peppery, maybe.
This is interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
That's good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's really good, actually. I really
It's not
like
just
it.
good, it's good-o.
It's good.
That's the
good.
brand.
It's good-o. Good-o.
That's next level
Now,
good.
she said that this one was the acquired taste.
It
The
is,
malt
it is. She's
beverage.
right.
It's-
She's
that's
right.
Like,
Yeah.
It's not like malt liquor, is it? What is that?
No.
It tastes like a thin syrup.
Yes.
Like a thin pancake syrup.
Yeah, I know in Puerto Rico, I've never had it this way. I know that they mix it with milk.
I could see that.
Yeah.
All right. Bring on the garlicky jibaritos, because I know we're on borrowed time.
All right.
Gaby.
So the top is the steak, and we put our Puerto Rican arroz con
yeah.
gandules in there for you as well.
Now, this is something they would never want you to do on
gosh.
WGN, would they?
What?
Eat on camera like this, or eat that?
Oh, yeah. No, never.
And then that's the roasted pork. And I also have some homemade salsa, which we call the jibara sauce.
Look at that. The video doesn't do this justice.
No,
I mean,
it really
smells.
doesn't. And you get this is the garlicky stuff that's smeared on the top. It's like
Yeah.
is it a garlic butter, or what do you do with the garlic to get it spreadable like that?
We blend it. We just blend garlic.
You blend it.
Yep.
You blend it with anything else, like with
Olive
butter? or
oil.
anything? Olive oil.
I don't know if you guys are into hot sauce, but that's
Yes.
it's a little spicy. Not too much. It's not overbearing.
I like my jibarito how it is, but do you
Just
want
nice.
extra hot
Oh,
sauce?
you brought
I-
napkins.
No,
Okay.
I
And I
don't
brought
mess
some
with
forks.
don't mess with the original.
Marcus? Forks?
All right.
Okay, this is...
Woo! It's been a while since I've had one of these.
They're the best.
A coworker
They are
of
the
mine
best.
is a big Green Bay Packers fan, and I'm of course a Bears fan. And we always had for a long time. I used to work the evening shift, and we had a jibarito bet on Bears Packers. So whoever, twice a year, we'd have twice a Bear season, we'd have a jibarito, and so whoever won had to pay. So if Bears won, she had to pay for the jibaritos, and
Nice.
Seems only
it's a
right.
great story.
All right, so what's in the rice, Gaby?
The
Sausage?
rice is just what we call salchichon. It's a type of sausage, and then just like it's what we call sofrito. So we put onions and green peppers, red peppers, and kind of blend it all up to where it's like in a chunky consistency.
Do I have
And
permission
then
to eat this?
we cook it with the rice.
What's that?
Can I eat?
Yeah, dude.
No, all right.
This is what people pay to see. Marcus, when you were doing Metromix, did you ever get tired of seeing yourself all around Chicago?
Seeing myself.
I feel like you were everywhere.
Well, that was part of the job, and we were on 5 nights a week.
Mm-hmm.
Live show 5 nights a week, and we were bars, restaurants, clubs, whatever was opening. That was where we were going to be. So, man, just to think about all the places we went and how much work there was. We had such a small staff to do a live show like that every night.
You were
It was
everywhere.
crazy.
I mean,
We were everywhere.
that's how I first became aware of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you became the de facto Chicago guy on TV. You were omnipresent.
Wow. It was still TV, though.
But I was watching. I mean,
Right.
you can't overstate the value of local content, and
No.
that was as distinctly local as it got.
It was, and it was. Yeah, I love where I'm at now, and I love our show. But I think so many of us, we've all kind of gone our different ways. Everyone who worked at Metromix with me. And I think a lot of us look back at that time. At the time, you don't realize sometimes when you're in the middle of something,
Right.
how much fun you're really having.
Totally agree.
And then later on, as the stakes get higher, the ratings get bigger, there's more responsibility, and you can't take as many chances as you could when you were on the cable station. You could throw anything you wanted up against the wall. Just go in the back room with the camera and put something together and just put it on TV and see what happened. It's harder to do that, So it was a lot. It was a lot of fun, and we had it was a great time. I think in all of our lives, the ages we were all at.
Well, you look perpetually 25. Maybe it's the makeup.
It's the makeup that I'm still wearing. Right.
Gaby, this is ridiculous.
It's so good.
I'm eating it with a fork because otherwise it will be a disaster.
Yeah, it gets a little messy. I think messy adds to the experience, though.
It does.
Yeah.
There's another level of challenge when you eat it in a car out of a styrofoam container, which is...
It might have gotten messier. I actually requested it be put in the styrofoam so it's easier for you guys to eat in the car.
But the thing that you're missing is when you eat the jibarito with your hands, you can smell the jibarito for about 4 days.
Yes,
right.
yes.
On your hand.
You're marked.
Every time. You just lift your hand up above your waist and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, I remember the jibarito I ate 3
There's
weeks ago.
no hiding what you ate, for sure.
No.
So,
Oh, it's delicious.
going back to the WGN morning show, are there other shows on during that time slot? I mean, this is
Very
like a
kind of you.
dynasty. This is like the Bulls in the 90s. This is the Blackhawks in the aughts. This is... WGN morning show is indomitable.
Yeah, I think because it is a unique Chicago show.
Very much.
And, particularly, when it launched, it was up against Today Show, Good Morning America. And I grew up, that was 25 years ago now, the show launched, and I was watching it when it launched. I was younger, but just to have that kind of counter-programming and to be able to develop something that is unique feels like when you turn it on, you feel like you're watching people who get the city. Who get just to the area.
Again, you can't overstate the value of local.
Yeah, and there's also no BS with us. Like, people ask all the time, what's Robin like? What's Larry like? They're like what you see. Like, that's what makes the show successful. I don't think it's a really secret recipe or anything. It's just you've got people who are great people, great personalities, and they're just able to be themselves on television.
Well, I think there is a secret recipe, and from my vantage point as a viewer, it's that balance between entertainment and news.
Right.
And be able to switch on and off effortlessly as news really dictates, or as the moment dictates.
And when I first started, our news director at the time, Greg Caputo was his name, and he told me, it's like the success of the show, everyone goes to the comedy bits and everything else, so the success of the show is that when something hits the fan, you trust our show. And you will come to us for news. And you stay for the fun. But without being able to trust us and know that we are giving you the information that you need, the show would not be as successful as it is. And he was right about that, I think.
Totally agree. Gaby, how much longer do we have you for?
If you guys don't need me, I
know you're on borrowed time.
But
All right, we'll let you go.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much
yes.
for...
No, thank you guys for
I just
coming
got to
by.
the cheese.
Right. And if people have had it, because there's some places by me that do jibarito, like there's no jibarito like this.
I appreciate
So if
that.
you haven't had the Borinquen jibarito, you haven't had one. Like
Yeah.
this is, nobody does the plantains right. Like you get the I don't know what your secret is, but however you do it, you
Well,
guys have it right.
It's
Yeah.
that melty American cheese that's mixing up with the pork and the garlicky mayonnaise.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. And the great thing is I took today off. I've got a nap in my future.
There you go.
I'm
All
living
right.
the Marcus Leshock life
Right.
this afternoon. I'm going right to bed after lunch. All right, Gaby, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so here's what's going on Facebook Live. We're going to continue recording for the podcast, which will be available on carconcarne.com and iTunes, etc. But we're going to turn the video off. Please watch out for the podcast. That'll be coming later tonight. That's Gaby from Borinquen. That's Marcus Leshock. Both of them are delights. All right, thank you for
so
watching
much.
on Facebook Live.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And we're officially at the halfway point of Carcon Carne. Carcon Carne, presented by the Autobarn Mazda of Evanston. Okay, back to the show, and Marcus Leshock from WGN Television. Are you very much that roller coaster enthusiast I see in video?
Yeah. So
When did that start? Was that like from childhood on?
yeah, Gosh, the one thing about our station, our job, is they let us kind of pursue our interests, and particularly our show, everyone has their like niche thing that they kind of geek out about. Mm-hmm. And I've always been a big coaster nerd, complete from the time I was a kid, going to Great America with my dad. And I always loved roller coasters. I loved learning about roller coasters, about the science behind them. I was really scared to get on a lot of rides until I was even about like 5th or 6th grade is when I first started going on roller coasters. And since then, man, I've been hooked. And I think because I'm kind of a nervous person, I have a little bit of anxiety about a lot of things, but knowing the engineering behind these rides, the safety features and mechanisms that are there, understanding how they work, I can get that thrill. There's that adrenaline rush that comes with a coaster.
Does the rush come for you as you're making the ascent? Because that's when I feel like my body is on high alert. When you're going up those tracks, the click, 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 click before the drop, that moment before you hit top speed.
Yeah, I think that's, for me, it's more excitement. Like some people talk about that as nervousness. That nervous energy comes out. Like the jibarito that just poured all over your mouth. Mm-hmm. But that's the exciting moment, right? The drop to me is depending on what kind of ride it is, of course, but like the first drop is everything. That's where, if you're a coaster designer, that's where you grab your audience, right? You got the people in there, and that's where you really blow them away. And then the ticking going up the hill with the upstop that's going down, that's keeping you from falling backwards, and it's just it's the way it's always been done. And coasters go back to Homewood, Illinois. There was a pioneer inventor of roller coasters there, and who invented a lot of those safety features and everything else. So
for a visitor to Great America, there are a couple there that just look horrifying that I can't even get in line for. But what's the mid-level? Somewhere in between the Demon and what's that one that just shoots right up into space?
Vertical velocity?
Yeah, that looks terrifying.
The one they're building will be the terrifying acceleration. There'll be nothing like it in North America, acceleration-wise. 0 to 85 miles an hour in a second and a half.
Nope. What's that called?
I mean, 1,000, you're going 80 miles an hour. It's crazy. There's no other ride like that in the U.S., that kind of acceleration. It's called Max Force that they're building. But I'll tell you, my favorite ride at Great America is Wizard. If you've been there.
Oh, it's the classic. I mean, it's been there the longest.
There's no other ride. That's the only ride of its kind now.
And that's like a starter coaster for the whole family.
It's a starter coaster, but if you're an adult, you can enjoy every second of it.
I agree.
It's thrilling enough. It's just a fun, unique thing. When you were dating your girl, that's a ride you wanted to go on because, she sits right in your lap on the ride.
Absolutely.
Just, there's so many great things with that. I go there with my kids, and it's like you're sitting on a family ride. It's just a great bonding experience. And when that thing comes back in, you see everyone's face just so happy being on the
Everyone's
ride.
Kind of laughing.
That's what it's all about. Mm-hmm. That's what it's all about. I love that ride. That is the ride there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I've tried. I have kids. I've tried to go back to Great America. I think I've hit a point age-wise where I can't do coasters anymore. Like, my equilibrium just gets so knocked out of whack.
The problem is you stopped. You can't stop riding. And I talk to people who are 80-something years old and still riding all the time. You got to keep it up.
That's interesting.
Because the fluid or whatever, your body's just used to it then. You walk away from it long enough, then you get back. Like, for example, if I go on a swing set with my kids, I get sick. I get nauseous. It's that motion, right?
Yeah.
But when you're younger, you're doing that all the time, so you're used to it. But then after a while, when you stop and I get back on it now, I'm with you.
That's interesting.
I know.
So looking back on WGN-TV, looking back on Metromix, looking back on everything you've done online, what are some highlights? What things stand out for you?
Gosh. My job has changed so much from when I started. I really started, Metromix was, an entertainment show when we started. Stuff that was around town. I did a lot of the junket interviews, kind of what Dean does now on WGN. Going to places and interviewing stars and celebrities, that was cool. It was cool when I was younger, just to learn how that whole machine works, right?
Oh,
that
yeah.
whole promotional
And
machine.
it's a machine.
Yeah, and you've seen it in radio too. Just you're lined up for us in TV. You're lined up in a hotel room outside of a hallway, and in the hotel room is The Rock. Right, you're waiting your turn for your 4 minutes with The Rock. Somebody goes, Fox goes in front of you, NBC goes after them, CBS, then you, and you sit down in the chair, and you sit down. You have like 2 seconds to greet The Rock, and then you've got 4 minutes on tape, and then they hand you the tape, and then you leave. It's just this whole well-oiled machine, and these guys are traveling all over the world doing that for however long, promoting their movie. So it was good. Those were fun experiences, and gosh, that feels like so long ago. But yeah, so just things have changed for me so much, and then we started doing so much food coverage and doing our food show, and then going to WGN, and now I'm anchoring the news some days, which is wild to think. I know it's been great, and I've had the best managers who, I walk into my manager's office and say, I think I'd like to try to anchor the news, and they sit down with you and say, one, I think she would tell me that's absolutely never a possibility for you if it wasn't. She says, all right, well, let's figure out how we can...
Because television is kind of a no BS business. Like, they're going to put it all out there. Yeah.
There's just no time. Yeah. There's no time for BS, right? Mm-hmm. And so okay, well, let's figure out a way to get you to do that and see if you can do that. And so put me on CLTV and doing this and filling in here, giving me tips, this or there. So it's been good. And...
So a highlight for you is just growth. Growth
and change is always making yourself relevant, right? Mm-hmm. Not getting like what you're doing. You could easily be a DJ somewhere just pushing a button, voice tracking, but instead you're sitting in your car, you're eating jibaritos, you're recording a podcast and putting it online. Just always trying to figure out a way to do something to stimulate yourself creatively.
Absolutely.
So you don't get caught in the I'm up now and I'm going and doing this or that. Like, always trying to figure out something new that keeps my creative juices flowing.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Right.
And I'm glad. Thank you for pointing that out. I mean, for me, jobs are not forever.
No.
What will survive a job? And for me, it's that stuff that I do above and beyond the job description, like a podcast.
Right.
I can take that with me.
You can.
Yeah.
But also, it makes you more valuable, I think.
I think so, too.
That's not necessarily the reason that you're doing it. But at the same time, it's like, well, who would you rather have around? I'd rather have the person who's always going and trying to do more to make themselves or make some kind of content that's interesting when we live in a world where there's content everywhere, right?
Everywhere. And it's hard to cut through.
Yeah, it is.
It is very hard to cut through. So we just ate the jibaritos at Borinquen. Very Chicago thing, which I'm surprised you didn't realize that was a Chicago sandwich.
No, I should have known that.
Isn't that crazy?
No idea.
We talked about how omnipresent you've been through the years in Chicago. What to you is the most quintessential Chicago thing? What really is definitive or emblematic of the city?
Gosh, it's so... And I've been thinking about this. I don't... the go-tos are there, right? The deep dish pizza, the Jules.
Jules.
Sears Tower, we're always going to call it the Sears Tower. To me... It's just, Chicago to me feels like the biggest small town. It feels like, I've gone to so many other cities, and it just feels like home. I don't know if this is because I've always been here, but just the people of the city, the no-nonsense feel to it of Chicago can smell you out if you're a phony, right? Mm-hmm. You cannot fool people with that. And there's something unique about Chicagoans, and I don't know if it goes back to the corruption that everyone's been through, the horrible weather. Like I don't know what it is, if it's just a callous or whatever, but it's just it's endearing to me that it feels like when people go downtown, they say, "Oh, Chicago's such a big city." It doesn't feel like a big city to me. Does it feel that big to you? I don't feel intimidated by it at all.
It feels like a big city when I'm coming back to Chicago from out of town. If I'm on a road trip and you get that first glimpse of the skyline, then it feels like, wow, this is a mighty place.
True, for sure.
But no, when you're walking around or just driving around, I mean, the fact that I live in the near north suburbs, some days I won't even take the expressway or Lakeshore Drive. I'll just side street it downtown.
Yeah.
Because you can. I mean, that doesn't feel like a big city. I'm just taking side streets to work.
Yep, it doesn't. And you're within a certain mile drive from smaller feeling neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm. Now, you're a Schaumburg native.
Yeah, from Schaumburg.
Do the suburbs get a bad rap?
Do they get a bad rap? Maybe sometimes, but I think sometimes it's a well-deserved. It's suburb. I live in the suburbs now, right? So I lived in the suburbs, and I moved to the city for a while. My wife and I lived in the city. Now I live back in the far northern suburbs, out in the Grays Lake area. So I love the suburbs where I live. There's things about Schaumburg that were great where I grew up. There are other things when I drive back to Schaumburg now. I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I don't live here.
There's a Kuma's in Schaumburg now.
There's a Kuma's in Schaumburg. There's a Kuma's in Vernon Hills that's opening, right? Yeah, so it's, I mean, how do you feel about it? Do you think the suburbs get a bad rap?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I feel like it's that. I think it's a youthful thing. Like when you're in your 20s,
yeah.
Screw the suburbs. Screw 708, 847. We are in the city. We are living with gang tags on our garages. We're proud of it.
I'm 100% suburbanite now. There's no doubt. I am a yard person. I want a garage. We live on a lake now, so I've got a house on a small lake, and it's like, this is it. It helps that I work in the city all day, so I play in both.
I feel the same way. I love the city. I've been here my entire life, but there's nothing wrong with living a little bit removed from the city.
No.
You can still get the grit and fun and excitement of the city.
Yeah. And where I live, when I leave in the morning, in the middle of the night at 2:45 in the morning, I see stars. Like a lot of stars.
Yeah, that's cool.
Not just, there's maybe the North Star. There's a lot of stars.
That is character building. Are you ever not tired?
I'm tired now. Normally right now when we're recording this, I'm taking a nap. So I am pretty tired right now and pushing through. But the key is to figure out when to sleep and how much. If you sleep too much during the day, then you can't sleep at night. Then you get all off track. So you just need to get a little bit of sleep during the day. But,
all right. So I'll let you go home and sleep. What do we have to look forward to coming up with Leshock Report, WGN, WGNU?
Well, the coaster thing is something I've kind of been pursuing a little bit further, and kind of what you're doing with this car. I have this segment called Coast in the Country, where I travel all over the place and, riding rides, telling the stories about the history of these rides, but also like meeting people along the way, and figuring out. It's kind of like a travel segment where I stop in places and profile places you can go. And that sort of thing.
One you did with a kid.
Coaster Kids, who has autism?
Yes.
His name is Logan. He's got a great YouTube channel. It's called Coaster Kids, with a K, Coaster with a K. And he was autistic to the point where he had a hard time communicating at all. And his father, with him, went on a roller coaster, and he became... It became this therapeutic thing that got him to open up.
Isn't that interesting?
And so the more he rode, the more it was a physical, something happened to him physically that allowed him to open up more.
Just turn on all those switches at once.
And now he has this YouTube channel that's also this therapeutic thing where he talks about coasters, and his whole thing is to be brave, the Be Brave Challenge. So to step up, and if it's not a roller coaster, it's something else in your life that you're afraid of, and try to conquer that. It could be raising your hand in class and answering a question with your teacher. There's 25,000 people following him on YouTube now. This kid's completely
blown
up.
Him.
And his dad, Coaster Dad, is a great guy, and they're traveling all over the world, and you see the Coaster Kids shirts all over the place. And it's a great thing. I show it to my kids because it's very positive, and it's very, enriching when you watch stuff like that. So, so telling stories about people like him, and then just having fun talking about these new rides and building out the YouTube channel. I've got my website, and WGN is so great to allow me to do this and do it on the air and pursue that. And a lot of people have been watching it, which is cool. So I'm going to see where that goes, but I'm excited about it.
Oh, like I said, I don't go on roller coasters now because my equilibrium is just shot. But I have no problem watching people on coasters.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the fun, right?
Uh-huh.
And trying to get people. I just rode a ride. I went back to my father's hometown in Shamokin, Pennsylvania, to this very small theme park there that has this ride that was just voted the best wooden roller coaster in the world. And I took my dad, who's going to be 84, took him back there. He hadn't been there since he was, I don't know how old. And took him back, and he walked me through and told me some places about the park. And then we went on the ride together. So that's going to air next Wednesday night on WGN.
Seems like appropriate holiday time viewing.
Yeah, and it's good. So
Dad and son.
things like that, and people that you see, an 84-year-old guy going on this crazy roller coaster, or somebody else. So it'd be maybe I get you on a ride.
I was going to say, now I feel like an absolute pussy. Your 84-year-old dad is.
Right.
So,
Right.
Thanks. All right, so cool. You're busy, Marcus.
Right.
In summary,
Trying to stay busy.
you got a lot going on.
Yep.
So we'll see you on TV. We'll see you on YouTube. We'll see you freaking everywhere.
I thank you so much for having me on, and thank you for the jibarito.
Thank Gabby.
Right, and my wife will thank you later. And when
It's
she
the gift
smells
that'll
this,
it's the gift that'll keep on giving all
when
day
she's
long.
washing our sheets and everything else, because it just won't come out. You got to go through the wash like 3 or 4 times, probably.
It's one of those things. Remember back in the day where smoking was allowed in concert venues? Like, it was one of those things where you'd go to a concert at Metro or Double Door or wherever. You couldn't walk in the back door of your house without wanting to completely disrobe because
Right.
you reeked of cigarettes. It's the same thing, only with garlic.
I just went bowling with my son, and I was thinking about that. There was a day where you couldn't see
Right.
couldn't see like the keeping score thing, the projector in the bowling because there was so much smoke.
Yeah, you could do a
Right.
cool light show.
You could.
All right, Marcus Leshock, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Car Con Carne is presented by the Autobarn Mazda of Evanston. Please, if you like this podcast, tell a friend. Thank you for listening.